$9,600. That's how much one of my friends is paying to have his mom taken care of in an assisted living facility here in Cleveland, Ohio, which is not a New York or Chicago or LA kind of expense, but to me it's still pretty expensive. I've been to the facility. I've seen his mom many, many times, and she's in a little, I guess it's like a 12 by 12 foot room. It could be maybe 14 feet by 14 feet. It's still not very large, but $9,600 a month. And he's paying a portion of that expense out of his own pocket. He told me the insurance ran out. I don't know what Social Security he's paying or if there's any other revenue that's coming or income coming in to defray some of those costs. But he's paying a portion of that, a big portion out of his own pocket. And one thing he said to me, though, he said that there were some hidden costs that he wished he would have known about. And had he known about those costs, he could have, in his words, he could have planned better. This video, what I thought I'd do is just talk about how to avoid some of those hidden costs, the hidden costs of taking care of an aging parent. That, my friends, that's up next right here on Over 50 TV. Welcome back to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes. Before the break, I said we're going to talk about the hidden costs of taking care of an aging parent. Now, one of the things we know is those financial costs, they can be intimidating, if not just downright overwhelming, especially when you consider that just in the United States alone, the cost of a private room in a nursing home, it can average over $97,000 a year. Now, if you decide you're going to move mom or dad into your house, or maybe let's just say you're going to do that because you know it's just a better place for them to be. If you're going to hire a caregiver, it's going to cost you about $25 or more per hour. So it can be expensive. And when you add in the unexpected cost of like eliminating like trip hazards on the floor, or maybe what you got to do is you got to install rails in the bathtub or maybe rails in the shower. Much of these costs, they're often paid by the adult child who brings that parent into the home. Now, in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how to avoid some of these hidden costs, the hidden costs of taking care of an aging parent. Step number one, and I call this mapping out the territory. And for me, what this means is I want to get an accurate assessment of their financial condition or financial position. And if anything has taught me over time, when you are sitting in front of somebody who is older, and maybe it's a family member and they're prideful and they don't want to tell you what their financial condition is, be patient. Be patient with them and just sit there and say, I'm here to help you, and what I want to do is make sure that you have an incredible, beautiful retirement where you can be in a comfortable position so that you are not having to worry about any of the finances. Just let me help you. And again, I find sometimes a person doesn't want to be forthcoming, and it could be for a variety of reasons. I've seen where a person was taken advantage of it when they were younger. They lost money, and they don't have what you might have thought they had, or maybe they just didn't save as much as they should have. They didn't invest it properly. They didn't live within their means. So the goal here is to get an accurate assessment of their financial position. The goal is to find that number out so that you can help them. And above all, to me, it's patient, be compassionate, be understanding, and whatever it takes, how long it takes, you just want to get that accurate assessment, because without it, you can't move forward. Step number two is and I'm going to call this laying out the terrain. And when I say that, I'm saying, do they decide with you, do you decide that they are going to go into an assisted living facility or move into your home with you or move into the home of another family member? Now, if they're going to be moving into an assisted living facility, more often than not, that is two things you're going to be concerned about. Number one, I would say, is, of course, finances. Can you afford to put them in a particular facility? And can you afford to put them in a facility at the minimum is going to be where you would be comfortable or where they would be comfortable to be at. So looking at that and looking at the numbers is why you did number one, is so you can decide, is that the best place for them to be? And again, I say you decide. I mean, you both decide, because I think you want to make sure that you involve them in that decision-making process. But if you don't go the assisted living route, and if you've decided and they've decided that they're going to move in with you, well, when I say laying out the terrain, I really mean really looking at the terrain and looking at where they're going to be staying in your home, knowing that in some cases you're going to have to make sure that there's rails on the shower or in the bathtub, making sure that there's no area that they can trip on. You don't want any loose carpeting in your home. You want to really make sure, and I would just say that it's parent-proof, and I guess it kind of reminds me of saying, yeah, child-proof. But let's make that home parent-proof. So you've decided in number one about the finances, and number two, you've decided where it is best for them. And again, want to keep going back to you. You combined make the decision and where it is best for them. Step number three, and I'm just going to call this regular bills, because that's really what I'm going to be talking about in this section. You know, mom and dad are usually one or both of them are paying the bills. What I often find is that one of your parents is really in charge of making sure all the bills are paid, whether it's utilities, rent, mortgage, credit cards. It could be something like Netflix. They're making sure all those bills are paid, and they're making sure that there are no late charges, because as we know, these companies, these organizations, they are not going to forgive a late charge. They're going to want their money. It's one of what I would just say is one of the hidden costs that when you're taking care of or when you're involved with in the life of an aging parent, and whether they're living with you or even if they're at an assisted living facility, you still want to step in and help to take care of the regular bills. And this is one of those, again, I'll say a hidden cost that most people just don't really think about when they're planning what's going to be the next phase of their parent's life and when they're planning with their parent. I always want to say that, because after all, this is a partnership any way you look at it. But those bills, those hidden costs that could arrive when there's a late charge, or maybe there's some kind of a fee that you're not aware of, that they are assessed every single month. But get involved with those bills, because that will save them the hassle, the worry, and of course, it's going to save an added expense for if there were, heaven forbid, if there are late charges. Step number 4, be direct. And I don't mean be direct with them. I mean what you could be, but I mean be direct in terms of a direct deposit, whether it is insurance or pensions or royalties or some kind of investment dividends. But ask or try to have a direct deposit on their checking account or in their checking account on any of those sources of income. And it's really super easy to do. You just got to spend the time to do it, and you just apply the routing number, maybe a voided check, and that'll take care of that. Now, one thing that we do know too, and there was a law passed, I think it was back in 1996, which said that any federal monies had to be done through direct deposit. It was a 1996 law. And what it does, and I really see that this is a huge, huge help, because it's all the federal payments are sent electronically, and that includes Social Security, and it's all sent electronically. For the most part, there may be some exceptions, but it's sent electronically to their checking account, which avoids any of the hassles. But be direct, because by being direct, it saves you some time. And again, I'll stress, it does save you a lot of energy, and it does save some worry. Another very, very important step, and don't wait to the last minute to do this, please. I call this what, where, and when. And really what we're doing is making sure that all important documents are located. And this could include bank records, brokerage or broker statements, insurance policies, pension, wills. Make sure you know where all these items are at, and make sure they're all organized. Now, it may require some diplomacy on your part to get this information, and it goes way back to when I mentioned in number 1 in talking about some of the finances. When it comes to these records, know where everything is at. It will help you should there be an emergency down the road where you need to have this information at your fingertips. You'll know exactly where to get it. And again, it includes everything, every financial item that you can think of, and it includes things, as I mentioned, just like their will, but know where it's all at. Ask kindly, ask gently, as I've mentioned, be patient, and just let them know you want to know this just so that you guys can be prepared, you and your family, your brother, your sisters, your family members, so you're prepared and you're prepared to help them when it's necessary. Now, I call this next step safety in numbers, and you probably have seen mountain climbers. They're depicted as being roped together. They're all together on that mountain. Well, on a similar note, it's a good idea to help to facilitate writing checks or withdrawing funds. It helps to do that by becoming a joint owner of a bank account, or just simply making an arrangement through the bank to be an authorized person to conduct transactions on behalf of your parent. Now, in the case of a safety deposit box or access in a crisis, you really do or want to become a deputy or an agent, and probably a good idea to talk to your attorney to find out what you need to do, or even talk to the banker. They can help you with this. But you do want to be careful with this, because one thing you don't want to do is if your parent is on the checking account and they write a check and maybe there's not enough money in that checking account, you could be liable. So that's something that you want to watch out for. Another thing, too, is if there's a large sum of money in that account and there's a large sum of money in your account, the FDIC, they only insure up to $100,000. And you want to make sure that if something were to happen to either one of the accounts, that you're insured. So a couple things to look out for, but I would consult with a banker, but certainly consult with your attorney or another qualified professional. Well, there you have it. Those are my tips on avoiding the hidden costs of taking care of an aging parent. Something I do want to do is mention is I want to give a special thanks to the folks over at the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging. And I want to give them a thanks for directing us to the resources that really kind of helped us to compile this information for you. But one thing I will say, if it sounds like I know, or I should say, if it sounds like I've been there, well, yes, I have. I've been in your shoes. If you're somebody who's looking at or concerned about an aging parent and about taking care of them, yeah, I've done this with family members. I've actually know quite a few people who have been concerned. I mentioned one of them in the beginning of this video, but I know quite a few people who have had to take the steps that I'm recommending here in this video today. And certainly what I did is I gave a general suggestion on some of the things, or really most of the things I think that should be done. The rest, though, is really going to be up to you. And if there's something that you're not sure of, if there's a step that you're just not sure of, I'm going to suggest you do talk to an attorney and you find out from them how you can be helped. And there are also some organizations out there, nonprofits, that can offer some good advice. Well, that's all I got for you today, folks. I wish you good luck on this step, this new phase of your life. As I always say, have a great day, everybody.